Good evening, everyone. It's Tom Sidney Bushnell, aka Numbers, here from the Tom Numbers Show and from Psych.Club, and in particular from my new channel on Locals, which is connected to Rumble. But this will also go out on my YouTube as well. So we'll keep it good for everyone on all channels. And I've got a really interesting guest with me today. It's the first time that we've got to talk, and we've been planning this for a while. So I'm really pleased to introduce everyone to James RINK. And James has a channel all about super soldiers and the secret space program and everything else. So I've got him here with me. I'll start this off, James, and then I'll hand the time over to you so everyone can know about your story, where you've come from, and the things that you can share with us. But I do numbers, as we spoke about, just a little bit off camera. So some of my viewers will know, but some people that might see this, your viewers may not know who's Tom Numbers, what's he about. A is the first letter of the alphabet, 1. B is 2, C is 3, all the way through to Z or 26 letter. So James RINK, James is 48 in numbers when you do J, 10th letter, A is 1, M is 13, E is 5, S is 19. James is 48, which actually is my name, Tom, 48. So we have a connection there. And then RINK is R-I-N-K, I believe, if I did that correctly. Let me just double check. But this is an interesting part here. So yeah, RINK, R-I-N-K. Yeah, it's 52, which is heart, which is earth. We're going to be talking about the earth, but things beyond as well. But if you add them together, James RINK comes to 100, and 100 comes to time machine. I love stuff with Back to the Future and all kind of sci-fi things, and I'm sure you've probably got some interest in that. But if you do super soldier, this is where it gets really interesting, James. So super soldier, super is 79, soldier is 82. That's 161. So if you do James RINK super soldier, that comes to 261. 261 comes to some really important dates. November 22nd, when JFK went in 63, comes to 261. Princess Diana, she passed, or we can go into that, on August 31st.
Live.
Exactly. We're on the same page.
On top of the island with JFK Jr.
Yeah, exactly. So she went into witness protection then. So August 31st is also 261. I'm a big fan of the Terminator movies. I think there's a lot of red pilling in there. And they talk about August 29th being Judgment Day. August 29th, when you spell it out, is also 261. So Judgment Day, August 29th, is 261. August 31st is 261. And also November 22nd is also 261. And also the United States of America is 261. And James RINK Super Soldier is 261. So a lot of my audience will know that number 261, but I thought I'd start the show off and share that with you. But James, it's great to have you here, buddy. Tell us tell us everything about you, because a lot of people won't know you, but a lot of people will. But for me personally, this would be really fascinating to hear your story, where you come from, how you got to where you are.
Sure. For people who don't know, let's just say you don't know anything about me or the work I've done. Okay, so I am used as a super soldier, and what that basically means is that I project my consciousness, or a part of my consciousness is also occupying other bodies off-world. That's not the only way that it's done, but that's just the brief explanation for answer this question. But as far as my own story and how we could start from my own self-awakening experience.
Yeah.
This would probably have taken me back to, I would say, about 2005. I was interacting with an individual that had some unique abilities, telekinesis, telepathy. He got kicked out of school, and he had some issues with anger and rage. And I was just suggesting to my friend that, hey, why don't you just check out this David Icke website and read this article about Michael Andy Perot. And if people out there who don't know who that is, Andy Perot he claims that he was taken to Rochester University in New York, and in the library there was a MK Ultra programming center where Nazis, or paperclip Germans, whatever you want to call them, were there to create alters, MK Ultra, brainwashing. So I just, and then he had certain psionic powers. He had telekinesis. He could levitate. He's some information there about how he would be thrown off airplanes and how to land on his own feet without a parachute. So I told my friend, "Oh, go check this out." And that's when his altar started coming out. And at that time, I didn't even know what an altar was. So I had to do a lot of research on altars. I did because he had all these signs. And at this point, he contacts me and says that his memories are being wiped, and soon he won't remember anything about me. And then I posed the suggestion to use your abilities to fight back and defend yourself. And that's when things started getting more weird. He contacts me again, states that he destroys the Gray's monetary system. He destroyed 3,400 planets. He destroyed bases. And he said he activated my DNA and that I could do everything that he can do. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just part of him is Alpha's rocker or what, I don't know, but I'm just here to listening. Okay. And then let's see, let's progress here a little bit further on. After he said he activated my DNA, the next night I went to bed. When I woke up, because I slept in a sleeping bag that night, and I had these 3 claw marks going down my shoulder. And then I had cut marks, needle marks, laser scabs, scoop marks. It starts about once a week, twice a week, then every day. And one time it was multiple times a day. And that continued on for years and years and years. But okay, so oh yeah, I didn't mention that. There was this green colored orb moving around in the base. I'm sorry, not the base. Downstairs in the kitchen. I was at the top of the stairs looking down. It was 4 o'clock in the morning, and that's when I went to bed and woke up and I had the claw marks. But yeah. So I'm gonna pause and allow. No, I will pause in just a minute. Just let me finish this up, Kate. I'm sure you have lots of questions, but
I know I want to. Okay. I want to hear your story, buddy. So take your time.
All right, great. Okay, so I reached out to my friend. I said, "Hey, what's going on here?" And he says that, "Are you watching the weirdness?" And something about he discussed us fighting in our past lives. Something about me being one of the Supremes, one of the most powerful beings in the universe, and that he was Lucifer, and it was us in our past lives fighting each other. And I said, well, let's not do that anymore. So, and I'll explain why he said that later on. A fragment of my soul is from the super archangel Ta, which is there's 7 super archangels, male, masculine, feminine form, and they take turns being God. That's why. But I'm only like a little tiny bit of it. So before somebody tries to ask me to show you superpowers, only when I'm activated. Okay. In this body, only about 3% of my soul is here, because the rest is all projected out of these other bodies. So, okay. But anyway, so my friend, he contacts me again. He says that he's in some kind of facility holding a power cord, which is plugged into the wall and telecommunicating into the internet. And he tells me that he's bleeding and that he's behind some kind of force field and that he's soon going to die. And this will be the last I hear from him. Okay. All right. So he goes away. I'm still getting needle marks. Then more weird stuff starts happening. Let's see here. The glass window, somebody broke my window. The mailbox at my parents' house got busted up. The car my parents' car got egged. Let's see here. What else happened? And then I started getting like this dizziness, paralysis. I couldn't move. And at the time I didn't realize it, but that was my alters that were starting to come out. But because I thought somebody was coming into my apartment, breaking in, injecting me. I had injection marks. I got proof. I can show you pictures. I'm not making this up. I wanted somebody to figure out, maybe it was something I just ate or something that was making me feel like I couldn't move. So I crawled over to the phone to call poison control. They said, "Oh, we can't help you. You need to call 911." So I did that. And then they put me into the psych ward for 3 weeks. They diagnosed me with psychosis NOS, which means that not otherwise specified. They couldn't figure out what's wrong with me, so they had to give me a code. That's what that basically means. And even the doctor said he was psychosomatic. And later on, that's when I realized that I also had alters, and my friend was just trying to help me out without me just losing my mind in the process, because of the type of trauma they subject us to, and this is my later on, we can go discuss Sabretooth and all this, but I just wanted to kind of lay things out, and the progression is how I learned it. So I'm going to pause here. Do you have any questions before I continue on here?
Yeah, when you said your altar, so I might be incorrect on this, but I heard maybe you might be using the wrong terminology, because we both know Ishmael. People have likened him to Clark Kent, being a Kryptonian and things like that. And are you? Hopefully, I'm not misspeaking on this. Is your altar Hulk? Is that correct?
There are many, and the multiverse is very large.
Yeah.
One of the bodies that I do occupy in the multiverse is in the Hulk program.
Okay.
Would you want me to explain a little bit more about the Hulk program?
Please, yeah. And the
Okay.
interesting thing about Hulk in numbers, so I get these kind of pings as we talk. Hulk equals 52, which equals Earth, which equals heart, but it also equals RINK. So James RINK, James Hulk is interesting. The numbers correlate with that. So that's an interesting correlation. But yeah, please share that with us.
Okay. You've probably heard the name Bruce Banner.
Yes.
So that is in the I think was it Marvel? They have him so Bruce Banner was one of the participants of the Umbrella Project's whole program. Now, they were able to perfect the formula, so and certain other people were able to take it. However, in order to transform, the process is extremely painful, and usually it results in death. So they would give an injection. They would take for instance, they would take a copy of your DNA, clone it out. So your soul is still occupying this body. And then they would put it through the, give it the Xylon XY something compound. The different formulations they have. Typically there's like G virus in there and tyrant virus. So these are like some like alien AI type goos in there. So it causes all these mutations. But typically the clone bodies would die. So sometimes they would put them in the regen tank, but most of the times the DNA was damaged. So each time it was very painful too to go for the transformation. But each time when the clone died, they had to make a new one. And all this memory is passed on from each. The soul still has that memory. And eventually it took about 7 times and they got it right. But yeah, so the name of my altar over there is Rob Richter. And the reason why they actually made Hulks is it's from an alternate reality in which Umbrella Corporation released, I wouldn't say, I don't really want to necessarily use the word released, but the zombie apocalypse took place. So Hulks were needed. Okay. So if the zombie, the Ouroboros virus is what it was called, was released to the population, what happens is that there are a lot of people on this planet that are sleepers. They could be ET hybrids. They could be super soldiers and I'm aware of it. So if these people get infected with Ouroboros and turn into a zombie, they would have more abilities. So like an average person would not be able to open a zombie, converted into a zombie, would not be able to open a doorknob, where a very smart, intelligent person as a zombie could open a doorknob. Whereas, say, a super soldier could walk through a door, okay, and levitate. So these type of people needed special types of termination squads, and that's why they made the Hulks, because the Hulks were immune to the Ouroboros virus, but not the other type of virus, the tyrant and the Veronica virus. But okay, so that's what I know about Umbrella. I mean, I don't know if you want me to go too much more into that, but did I answer your question?
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, thank you. It's interesting as well because I just looked at what Incredible Hulk would be. So that's the kind of the term, the way that in the Marvel comics, the Incredible Hulk. So Incredible Hulk is 133, which is Terminator, and you just talked about the termination squads. So that's interesting, some correlation with that. And the Incredible Hulk, and we've also mentioned the word as well, you have in terms of transforming. So Transformers, as in like Optimus Prime and the Decepticons and Autobots, Transformers comes to 166, which comes to the Incredible Hulk, which comes to the Terminator, which comes to Autobots as well. Comes to the White House as well, which is interesting. And it also comes to the simulation. So I've been doing a lot of stuff recently about simulation and the simulation matrix that we perhaps could be in, which it feels like at the moment. So yeah, please carry on, buddy. Yeah.
All right. How about we can discuss about the Leak-Sadaden? Are you familiar with Leak-Sadaden?
No, I'm not. Tell us.
Okay.
How do you spell Leak-Sadaden? How do you spell that?
Leak-Sadaten. Leak-Sadaten. It's
sorry, buddy. Say that again.
It's German for light soldier, but Leak-Sadaten. Leak-Sadaten. All right, so
Leak-Sadaten. Okay.
Yeah, there are 7 different types of super soldiers, and I've already explained. Of course, Leak-Sadaten would be one of them. But there's
sorry, buddy. Is that Leicthsol?
No, it's Lich. Yeah, leak like light. It's
hang
light.
On. You have to slow it down for me. I just want to get this correct. So sorry, just if you would just really slow for me.
I.
Yep.
C.
Yep.
T.
Yep.
H.
Yep.
S.
Yep.
O.
Yep.
L.
Yep.
E. A. T. E. N.
E. N.
Yeah. T. E. N. Yeah.
So licked and then sold and then ATEN at the end. Okay.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. Thanks, buddy.
All right. So we got 7 different types of super soldiers. Maybe we could start off, the average sacrificial lambs. Okay. These are typical grunts they would send out in the battle. And a lot of times they die. Sometimes they can be brought back and reanimated. I know the Heather material discusses this. There was a dump underneath. It's north of Orlando where they were taking these soldiers from the Iraq War, dead soldiers, reanimating them and trying to convert them into super soldiers. So you can check out the Heather material on the Project Camelot website. It's really fascinating. But so then there's I guess we can go to the next type would be the ultra soldiers. So ultra soldiers are basically created by Fourth Reich Project Paperclip Nazis. So they would test on humans, hybrids, crossbreeds, ETs. The CIA, DARPA, private corporations have access to ultra soldiers. But ultra soldiers are unstable and unreliable in their programming. So to recuperate them, they would use nano, pico, or femto type injections to and also trip seat alteration protocols to control them, I guess you could say. But I am an ultra soldier, by the way. And there are, I think we're on the 10 gen, or Gen 10, sorry, or Gen 11 now. But we could discuss, I guess since I'm on it, I'll go ahead and explain it. The different generations of super soldiers. So the first gen would have been connected to a group of about 20 subjects. This was in September of 1945. These subjects were selected for their own unique abilities. I mean, some of these people could have been Native American and they would have, excellent remote viewing abilities, or they would, just certain people within the military that they wanted that had these abilities. So
can I ask you, James, just on that?
Yes.
So how would someone know that they're an ultra soldier? So just go into your origins, and this is a clean slate. I'm not sure. So would an ultra soldier be, say, born as a human being and then they get developed into an ultra soldier, or are they created and then they're find created out later?
Certainly, yeah. The first gen was born into it. Okay, so the way somebody's a super soldier is you have to look into their eyes, and typically you would tell by seeing the trauma in their own eyes, because a lot of these, all these people are the trauma is part of the programming aspect of splitting the alters, at least in the early program. Later on, they were able to perfect it and they didn't have to use trauma as much, but it's still there. especially if they've been used for combat.
So when you say, when you say created, an ultra soldier is created. So would that be a human being that is born, goes through a normal birth process, and then they're traumatized?
They make them in a test tube.
Okay,
Yeah,
so they're
that's
made in a
under
test
Project
tube.
Surrogate.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so that
okay.
that would be Gen 2 to 3. These test tube babies where they would use cocktails, steroids, wires and implants, augments. By the late, I would say going into the late 70s, I guess early 80s, we had more Gen 4 all the way up to Gen 7. So Gen 3 again was very more biological. But as you go later on, the more higher generations, it's more and more cybernetics that are put into these bodies. So I think they found roughly
Can you take
around
us through the process? Sorry,
What?
James. Can you take us through just this? I think will be interesting for people, for me personally, but for the audience. So if someone is produced in a test tube as an ultra soldier, what's the kind of, so if someone's born a human, they're born 40 years ago, and then they mature into an adult, and they reach the age of 40 and they carry on. So in terms of an ultra soldier, what would happen if they're produced in a test tube? Is their conception, for want of a better word, accelerated? Could they be, say, created on day one, and then within 3 years they're an adult, and then they go from there? Can you just take us basically through the kind of process of creation? Because I think that's,
well, in my particular case, the test tube was created in a lab, and it wasn't until about 3 years before they grew it out. And then the trajectory that I took was a little bit different under Project Surrogate, first of all, surrogate means that they would implant you into your mother. So
okay.
The idea
so they go
is
through they go through a
as a
human birth
fetus.
process.
Right. But which is really weird in my particular case, it looks like they did a different path. They made multiple clone bodies of the embryo. I think it was 320 at the batch of 700 or something embryos of I was Gen 5. So Gen 5 had a batch of 720 participants. But so in my particular case, they made multiple clones, and then I was growing up on, it looks like I was growing up on a spaceship. Now, I don't have memories of it, but this is what has come up through regression work.
Yeah.
So the other boy that my mom grew up to the age of 3. And at that point, they replaced me with him. And we are genetic copies. We look the same. We have the same soul. So it's still me, but it was a copy of me. Okay. So he goes off to the moon, and I can tell you about that in just a bit, or if you had a question, I can pause here.
Okay. Well, that was what I was going to ask. So I was going to say, what happened to him? So he went to the moon. You came in and replaced him, but you're still fractals of the same consciousness. It's still you, still him.
Yeah, I think it has something to do with me being my soul is not, it's like above archangel level, that they had to anchor it in a high vibrational environment. And the soul that my mom had, the boy that he had, my mom was part of the mantis genetic experiments. So the mantis and the Draco, the Sakaar, they all have their bloodline, and they what they do is they try to find the best people they can match up for their projects. So my mom was in that, and so let's see okay. So this mantis was draining my mom, was draining my mom of her energy, and then my mom was draining the boy, my brother, of his energy. So when I got replaced, my mom immediately knew that I was not the same boy. And ever since then, my mom, in my opinion, she rejected me. And that's what I had to deal with my lifetime until I think my mom was starting to wake up of what they did to her. And then that's when she dropped dead of cancer, because I don't think she could have handled it, the trauma that they put her through. But the other boy, my carbon copy, whatever you want to call it, he goes to the moon, and there's a facility there where they're training these kids, and they're teaching them how to use programmable matter. And what that basically means is where weapons can pop out of their back or their arms. And so they're taught how to use that. They're also taught how to walk upside down, they're injected with spider DNA and injected with reptilian genetics. And he's put in a pod there's 4 pods in this facility of kids, and he's in pod number 4, and pod number 4 is maintained by the reptilian known as Muni, M-U-N-E-E is how you spell his name. But there would be this queen reptilian that would come around every now and then to check up on all the pods and the progress of all the kids. And evidently she wasn't happy with Muni's performance, so he's dead now, but whatever, I don't care. It doesn't matter. I did survive. Most of the kids in my pod were these black kids, and they were from a planet where I guess the Zulu tribe nations come from. So I don't think they were even from planet Earth, because they all had special abilities. But the kids that didn't survive were sent to the processing. So the stakes were high. I mean, I graduated, but I can't say it's, I'm too proud of any of that, but, it wasn't much of a choice. Let's see here. I think there was something else.
When you say you weren't proud of it, what do you mean?
Well, when they train you as a super soldier, some of the things they would make you do is, it doesn't matter. I don't want to think about that. But,
okay.
There were times,
a bit like Kingsmen.
Okay, let me explain something. I was working with this lady. She said that she was getting these memories of this facility. And she said that she remembered me going in there rescuing her. So we did this regression work together. The reason I'm bringing this up is because I think there's a possibility that also happened to me, or she might have been seeing my own experiences. But at least that's what I think. I think I was the one that was going through that. Now, so that gives you some examples, some of the type of traumas that we were exposed to. Okay. Did I answer?
What is the point of the super soldier program? Is it just Dracos and reptilians doing crazy experiments and just doing their bidding?
Well, in Montauk, we had a group of what we call the Thuban Draco, and these guys were, their soul was like one of the lower level managers from hell occupying these bodies. And what they wanted was to create a new world order where they thought that they could rule the world and maybe usurp their higher ups in hell using us. They wanted us, ascended angels, technology, to occupy these bodies, and they thought that traumatizing us would make us more like them, serving them. They hope we could, but ultimately what ended up happening is that we transmuted them instead from their negativity, and I guess they moved on. As far as Montauk is concerned, it's not even here anymore. It's in a pocket reality where this stuff takes place. But anyway, I don't need.
So you're saying now, so then super soldiers are able to, or in your case, are able to escape from that nasty training that they put you through, and then you're able to defeat them, and then you go on your purpose and your mission to do.
It wasn't like that. No. There's more and more training. They would take you to planets like Centaurion, where they would put you in the jungle, and there would be some kind of alien creature in there, and the goal is to hunt it. Most people died, and then they would put you in the regen tank, and they would have to do it again. So there's no death out there. They have holographic medical regeneration technology, which can reanimate the dead up to 2 weeks. And even then they have time travel tech. So if you've been dead for 2 weeks, they can go back in time and get you when you weren't. So there's no escape. There's no suicide. You can't get away from any of this stuff. But it's pretty brutal out there.
Are you out of it now?
No, absolutely not. No, I'm still active, but I'm active in other parallel tracks, body tracks. So at Umbrella, I'm still Rob Richter over there. Over on Mars, I'm still Derek Reinhold. On the moon, I'm still James Ring. There's another altar that I have. That's I wouldn't call it an altar, more like the Hobie Baker aspect of it all. That's one of the reasons why they chose me. Do you know who Hobie Baker is?
No, tell us.
Roughly around 1910. Hobie Baker played for Princeton University, but a hockey player. But he they went into the national leagues and also MVP football. But that's why they gave me my last name is RINK, because I was a star hockey player back then.
Yeah.
So in World War I, he was an ace fighter pilot, and on the last day of the war, last day he was also stationed as I guess I was in the Army Air Corps at that point. His plane went down over France, and it was not, I don't think there was like a little bit of fog, but it was nothing he couldn't handle. So remote viewing that, of course, to see one of these Fifth Reich vessels decloaking, coming up and pulling him out of there and putting another clone body back into the plane, and they took him off and used that body for their experiments. They're in particularly looking for people that are athletes to become navigators, because athletes have the ability to see in their mind projections, like things that are going to happen in the future, such as like movements of meteorites and so on, and dodging all that. So that's why they need athletes out there. And I was used as a navigator for Darkfleet. My alter name there was Bertram. And I have a little bit of memories of that, but they suppressed pretty much most of that. But it's a third class navigation asset on the I think it was the Aphelion, which is the it's like the flagship of Darkfleet. But I mean, I was only third class, so I'm not even sure how we got in there, because that's only reserved for like officers that are supposedly a cushy job officer kind of thing. So whatever. Anyway, okay. What else would you like to know?
Well, there just seems so much to know. So where are you at right now with everything? Then you've got other parallels of you having to do things on the moon and other places. So right now, when you're here on Earth, like you and me talking, like what's your mission
on this
right
body,
now?
yeah, on this body, I'm just civilian. So I think they have actually taken me and I've used me on missions in this body. There was some, I mean, I just wrote about it in my book, or just updated my book about the George Bush Sr. content, where they would take us to this mansion, which he refers to as the White Mansion. I don't remember what the exterior looked like, but apparently that's where I was at. But the interior, there was this room where they had this fireplace, and they had an American flag over on the left. On the right was another American flag, but it was black. It has black stripes, black and white stripes, and had a star on there. And this was the American flag from an alternate universe in which the Americans joined the Axis powers in World War II. So that flag was there, and we were all in there, and George Bush Sr. was reading us a book about what we Nazis had to go through, and how hard it was for them, and this and that, we're all there listening. But I mean, that's all I really remember about that thing. But I mean, they would put us through this indoctrination. I was in Project Ibis 89 and 93. I've decided not to explore any of those memories at this point. I was told some of these things are particularly traumatic. There was one trajectory that some time I spent in Monarch and in Monarch Orphanage. That was an orphanage in Tennessee, and I still think it's still there. But this was back in the 80s anyway, and they would give us these pills every day that we had to eat, and it would make us feel drugged so much to the point we just all we want to do is sleep all day, and it was to wipe our memories. So they would hope that I would never remember anything they did to me. But there were a lot of kids there, and they were being groomed to be sent off world in the secret space program. So that's another thing I want to mention to you is they had time dilation technology, the Germans anyway, and I would say the Americans also have access to it by now anyway, to send you off on a mission for 20 years of service, and then they could wipe your memory at the end of the service, re-age you or put you into another clone body, and then send you back to the moments after they've taken you. So you could be sitting here right now. We could be sitting here right now and be taken, and then spent 20 or even more years out there, and then come back. So in my particular case, that has happened to me, and I've spent 330 years of service out there, and it's still going on. And it is what it is. But it gets really even complicated once you start looking into the multiverse and Montauk, because in Montauk, they would send us kids back in time.
What is Montauk?
Well, Montauk is a part of Project Phoenix, and the goal of Project Phoenix, anyway, well, initially under the Philadelphia experiment, was to create physical invisibility of naval ships. And they found that, yes, they would become physically invisible, but that's because they went into a pocket reality, or you call it hyperspace, outside of time, a dimension outside of time. And so they found that they could do these experiments and these pocket bubble realities was what I would call it. And there's a place which you call Montauk Point off of Long Island, New York, at Camp Hero. But I don't really know. I don't think it was actually in this reality here. I think it was in a pocket bubble where I think it also is still existing. And that's not the only place. Montauk also they had 17 other sister sites all over the planet. Brookhaven Labs had another facility where they were taking these kids, and you've probably seen the television show Stranger Things.
Yeah, some of it.
I
Yeah,
remember that one. Yeah, so
yeah.
that was another project. I don't think that was the Montauk project, but there was other ones going on all the other parts of the country. So, and they would do that. They would take our files and hand it over to Hollywood and actually produce a movie. I just interviewed Jimmy Payne recently, and he talked about how he was Captain Dallas on the Nostromo, and they took his files and gave it to Senator Robert Byrd's office, the senator from West Virginia. And then Byrd, I think he got like $100,000. They got $100,000 for that. And then they sent it over to Hollywood, and that's where they made the first Alien movie, was Sigourney Weaver and the Xenomorphs. So that is a documentary, by the way. The only thing that they got wrong is the cat Joneses, I think is a cat. Joneses was supposed to be a gremlin, like a little, like 18-inch tall gremlin or something. So, oh, and the xenomorphs, they can't survive out in outer space. They like a lot of heat, so they don't. Yeah, so they made it a little bit more scary than they really are, but yeah. And they were actually told the when the Zeta Reticuli gave I guess, I don't know, Wayland Utami Corporation, the navigation maps, the Zetas told them, do not go over here. And it was a system past Zeta Reticuli that was all like marked off on the map, like quarantined, do not go here. And of course they sent the Nostromo over there. But if you watch the movie series, we have movies like Prometheus, which talks about how they sent the daughter of the Wayland Utami Corporation. They sent her off world, but that time period all corresponds to when the Denver airport time capsule is supposed to be open. I think it's like 2091 or something. So there's some correlations here when first contact. Yeah. So like I said, these corporations are real. The breakaway, we haven't even talked about the breakaway. I mean, because we were discussing about the super soldier aspect of it all.
I wanted to ask you, James, you said about invisibility, and they were able to create that and do missions being invisible. I did a show with Derek Johnson and Matt Letitia just a few weeks ago. Sorry, a few days ago, beg your pardon. Actually, maybe I'll preface it with this. I don't know. Where do you stand with things like Q and President Trump and the alliance and the Kennedys? What's your take on that? But I'll also interject this observation. I asked Derek, he's a veteran. He does a lot of the executive orders in place and help people understand those. I asked him, how has the military been doing these cleanup operations around the world? And I asked him, if they've been doing it via quantum, because quantum is 107, military is 107. But then you brought up the thing of invisibility, and President Trump has said it's stealth, you can't see it. They're doing things invisibly, basically. So it was interesting you brought that up. I wanted to maybe explore that, and yeah, tell us what your thoughts are in terms of Q and President Trump and Kennedy, etc.
Okay. Yeah. So people that have reached out to me through my network. This is what the narrative that I think this is about. And if you want to accept it or reject it, it's totally up to you. You okay. But okay,
yeah, we all have our thoughts on it.
The Q movement, yeah. So Q, it looks like that it was set up by John F. Kennedy, the first president that was assassinated. So he set it up, and when after he was assassinated, the Q movement continued on the process, and so Q stands for the quantum supercomputer, but it's a lot more than that because they are interacting with particular grays from the Galactic Federation, and these beings have technology that's even more advanced than looking glass technology or a typical quantum supercomputer, whereas they can see the entire multiverse. So when Q says trust the plan, it's because they've already seen all possibilities. So because they already seen the multiverse, they know everything that could possibly go right or go wrong. So as far as, apparently Trump is part of the Q network, and and it continues on even into the future, the different time travel divisions. The future is kind of hazy when you look into it because there's so many. The multiverse is so extensive, but I certainly think that they have access to time travel technology. It does look like John Trump, Trump's uncle, was friends with Tesla, and it does. And as crazy as it sounds, it does appear as if Donald Trump has traveled back in time, back to the 1920s, to meet with Tesla and John Trump to hash out a plan. And the plan basically is dictated for secrecy. And eventually, the goal was to put all this advanced Tesla tech into the hands of some of the white hats. So when the time would come to tell the public, all this advanced technology would come out along with the money of the Saint Germain trusts, and also different types of world trusts and the prosperity programs that was set up by certain robber baron family members that wanted to help humanity instead of just rape them. But okay.
Yeah, we're on the same page with all of that, buddy. That's excellent. Right. I concur with all of that. Yeah. Wow. So, and in terms of the invisibility, we're probably going to have to wrap up in a few minutes, James, but I'd love to carry on in the future and do other things with you on this, because it's I can see you've got a lot of things to share, and we're kind of relaxing into it now, and people, I think, would love to hear more. But maybe if we can finish off on the invisibility part, just if you could go into that a little bit more, and have the white hats been using that? They've definitely been using time travel. One thing I wanted to say is time travel in numbers is 125. John Kennedy in numbers is 125 as well. And where Tesla lived for at least 10 years in Manhattan in the New Yorker Hotel, that's on 8th Avenue. 8th Avenue is also 125. And Dark to Light, one of the Q posts, is 125 time travel. And Project Looking Glass is also The Best Is Yet to Come, 228. Or the Project Looking Glass is 261. And you talked about JFK. We talked about JFK at the beginning. I feel personally that somehow JFK went into witness protection, or was protected at some point with that, like his son, and also Diana and a whole bunch of others. So, but yeah, if we could finish off on the invisibility thing, that'd be sweet. That'd be awesome.
I knew a Kennedy too, but I don't know if you want to go invisibility, we can discuss that. So I mean, they have different chameleon class technology that can, if you are one of these super soldiers that have these implants put into you, or in my particular case, I have, because I'm an ET hybrid, I have different organs inside my body, which are not multiple different types of organs that are not normal. So my physiology is not a typical human, according to my DOD records that were handed to me from somebody over at Oak Ridge. So chameleon class technology can cloak it so it wouldn't show up in MRI. But as far as physical invisibility, typically would be passing through dimensions. I do think that some of these super soldiers have that ability, especially like typical type of Kruger runners. But these, there's different levels of super soldiers. It all depends on how expensive, how much money they want to put into one of them. But
what's a Kruger runner? What's that? Because you got Kruger. So where Kennedy was shot, witness protection in 63, that's
Oh,
on Elm Street, and you got, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy
but
Krueger. So what's Krueger Runner? What
yeah,
is
by the
that?
way, it's actually, you know, I'm glad you brought that up because Jimmy Payne told me that that he was at, I think it was Delaney Plaza or what was it?
Yeah,
Some,
Dealey Plaza. Yeah, yeah,
really. So he was up in the book deposit. He was a child back then. So he went up into, he was crawling through the air ducts and he handed the gun and the bullets to the assassin up there. And then he walked down the stairs. So when the cop came up the stairs to look for the assassin, he passed right. So the cop never suspected the child had anything to do with it. And then the assassin back in
and
the
this was
1960s.
Jimmy Payne, you say?
Yeah, Jimmy Payne. So the assassin had a cloaking belt. So he pressed the button and he turned invisible. So back in the 1960s, they were using this type of tech to try, I guess, the attempt to take. I guess they did. You know, there's some rumors that they might have cloned him out and that President Kennedy might still be alive on the Galactic Federation ship. I'm not going to go as far as saying
I think
that's
he
true or
is.
not, but
I think he is. Well, if you do the numbers on President, if you do the numbers on President John Fitzgerald Kennedy, it comes to 343, which comes to the New Jerusalem, the mothership. So if that is perhaps a name for one of the, you know, the spaceships up there, you've got the Dove, the New Jerusalem. So I think he was. I think he is. Yeah, I think he is.
I
I think
actually
there's
did it.
parallels with Captain Kirk and the USS Enterprise and JFK.
Oh, by the way, that's actually a documentary too. The planet Vulcan is located inside our sun. It's cloaked in another dimension, so that's why it seems very hot. But it has shielding over the planet.
Yeah.
Vulcans are related to the elf species, but they are actually like 4 foot tall. So they got Spock wrong. He was supposed to be a really tiny, short guy. And but they don't have, it's true, they don't have emotions. And the Enterprise is real. The Starfleet Command, all this stuff takes place in our future. So our future is a Star Trek reality, but getting there is gonna might be a little bit difficult because there's still a lot of cleanup to do.
Well, buddy, it's been really fun. I've really enjoyed it, and love to do it again with you. How can people find you? I'll put your links below. How can people get hold of you?
Go to supersoldiertalk.com to find like my videos and content, but also go to neologicaltech.com. You can get a copy of my book because I didn't really have time to go into any of the secrets, the history of secret space.
Yeah, but we'll do it. When's what's your schedule like? Are you available in a few weeks' time or next month, or how things do you?
Well, I'm probably going to be booked up till like the end of July, probably early July, so you might get me then. But
we'll do it then. We'll do it in the summer. Yeah.
Also, get yourself a meditation cube to help you relax. I build those things out too. That's on my website, neologicaltech.com. So
awesome. All right, buddy.
All right.
Nice one. Well, thanks, James. That was a lot of fun and really interesting, and I enjoyed I think we got a lot of correlation there. So fantastic.
And find me on Rumble, supersoldiertalk.com on Rumble. Well, not .com, but Super Soldier Talk on Rumble.
There you go. And you're on YouTube as well.
Oh, well, yeah. I managed
to the links that you mentioned.
Deleted, but
yeah.
Thanks,
man. We'll see you in we'll do it in July. That'll be fun.
Okay.
Cheers, James. Take care, man. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.